Alright everybody, welcome back to another episode of Redneck Racing. Today's video is going to be that carburetor video that I talked about in another video a while back. Not exactly sure how many videos back that'll be. We were putting one like this on Peter's car, and I think I mentioned in that video we got two of them. So here's the other one. It's in worse condition. It needs a full rebuild, and we're going to try and get this put back together and put it on the murder weapon. And hopefully it'll be back together before we go racing again. We're planning on going in a little less than 2 weeks here, right before college starts. So I think tonight I'm going to get this tore down. I don't have all the parts yet to put it back together because we wound up ripping some gaskets on Peter's carburetor, and I used the other gaskets for Peter's carb, and then wrecked some more, and then used the spare ones that I had. So now I don't have any more of the float bowl gaskets. These ones right here. I thought that these were the same, but this is a 4165/4175, and that's different than the 4160/4150s. And the difference you can see is right here. These two spots. This one has the little dowel pins are closer to where the bolt goes through, and the accelerator pump hole does not line up. It's close, but it doesn't. It should be there, and it's more like there. So that's a bummer because I can't use these red ones, and this one is junk, and these ones can't be used, so not going to be able to use those. So, I'm going to have to wait for some new gaskets to come in. Alright, so I have already taken this carburetor apart a little bit. I looked inside the float bowls once. So, and took the gaskets off. They just fell right off. This carburetor was on fire at one point, as you can see from the top of the choke flap here and all inside of there. It got a little toasty at one point, so hopefully not too big of a deal. Should just be able to spray it out. I got a bucket of gas right there. Take all the parts and let them soak in there overnight a little bit, and hopefully that'll ease some of the grime off of it. So we're gonna see how good I can do this with one hand. I thought I put most of these in finger tight, but I guess not. And if you don't know anything about Holley carburetors, this is where it stores the fuel. There is a crossover tube that goes between right here to here, and that's underneath one of the seats in there somewhere. We'll find that later. But you got to take out all these 4 screws, and then this whole thing comes off. Same on the other side. I'm going to get these out, and I'll be right back. Alright, so here's the last screw coming out right here. Hopefully this float bowl doesn't go flying out. There we go. And then normally there'd be a gasket in between here and then in between here. So this is the float bowl, this is the metering block, and this is the main body right here. So there'd be 2 gaskets in between here and here. I've already taken them out. So the inside of the fuel bowl or float bowl looks like this. There's a needle and seat right in there. There's a little spring to help the float out, and then this here is a really old school brass float. And then this is the accelerator pump. So when you step on the gas, it'll push this arm down and shoot the blast of gas through the accelerator pump right in there, and then you can see it better in the secondaries. Shoots the gas out of there when you step on the gas. And then inside the metering block there's a power valve. This one is completely sacked out, and then these are the jets. And that's really, there's a lot more in the metering block, but that's all that you can change on in there. So that's really all we have to worry about. And then behind here there's a little fuel reservoir, bunch of little holes in the metering block, in the main body. That all goes to air bleeds and boosters and accelerator pumps and all that stuff. Vent tubes, here's the vent tube. And all this basically needs to get changed out. I got new power valves. I'm going to put different jets in it. Replace the accelerator pump. Replace the needle and seat. Maybe even replace these springs because these ones feel a little bit sacked out. I'll probably take the springs out of the Demon and put them in here because they're the same side hung floats. And then we'll go from there. But I'm going to let everything soak overnight in gas. But real quick before I do that, I'll show you guys how to take all this stuff apart in here and over here before we call our quits for the night. Alright, so the first thing that's got to come off in here is this E-clip right here, and that is always a huge pain in the butt to get off. I'm going to try and get it off with a little flat-bladed screwdriver here. I'm going to use the pliers, but I can't seem to find one of them at this moment. There we go. He's loose, it looks like. There, it fell. And these buggers really just love to go flying all over the place, so put him somewhere safe. I'm definitely going to forget about it there. And then this the float will just slide out, and it's stuck on the needle and seat. A lot of times you have to do that with the float ball laying like this and pull the float out the top like that. So it just hangs on this peg right there through these holes, and then when you put it back in, you have to make sure that you push the spring down into the spring landing. And then as you can see, the needle already fell out of the seat. So, and I don't know if these needles are good or bad. I'm going to assume they're bad and replace them anyways. Actually, it doesn't look too terribly bad. That does not look that bad. It's a little bit crusty though, so this would be rubbery and it's kind of hard. Well, I'm just going to replace them because I got new ones. And that's pretty much all there is. The fuel bowls, I'm going to, well, and there's the accelerator pump. So the primary one has a 30cc accelerator pump. The secondary one has a 50cc accelerator pump. And there's just 4 screws that hold these in. There's a little diaphragm and a spring. I'm going to throw this in my bucket of fuel. The spring just pulls off of here. And I know that these accelerator pumps are not good at all. Actually, this one might be, nah, it's bad. There's the spring, there's this, and I don't know if these are bad or not. I think I've got new ones. I want to make sure I've got new ones before I pull it out. I might actually leave this in here and just hope it works, because I'm not entirely sure I want to try and fight another one back in there. And it doesn't seem... This still seems pretty agile in there, so I'm going to leave this, let it soak in some gasoline. The gasoline shouldn't hurt this because it's literally sits soaking in gasoline all the time anyways. This is full of gas when it's on the car. That just made a mess. The secondary float bowl is exactly the same. I'm not going to record that because it is exactly the same. So I'm going to move on to the metering blocks, the next layer. And this, there's not much to this. These 4165, 4175 models have this, which is for the accelerator pump shot. When you step on the gas, it shoots the accelerator pump shot through this hole, up this tube, through there, through that tube, into this hole, and then out the boosters in the top there and right there. Or not the boosters, the squirters. So this needs to come out. These are stuck in here pretty good. There we go. And then I'm gonna try and get this gasket off of here. This O-ring. I've got new O-rings. Yeah, these are pretty shot. It just cracked apart, and you can see how cracked it is. It's seen better days. It's all crunchy. There. That's both of those out. And then, like I said, the other side is the same. And then the only thing else to take out is the jets and the power valve. Alright, I got the jets and the power valve loosened up. These just unscrew. And then same with the power valve, which is still in there pretty tight. This power valve is completely shot. Yeah. These jets are still good though. What size are these? 60 point. Oh, it says 602. 60s? 60? I don't know. These are weird jet sizes. I don't know what they are. I'm going to be rebuilding this with 64s and 68s. 64s and 70s. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do on the secondary side yet, but the primary is good 64s because that's what's running right now just fine. Alright guys, the next thing that I'm going to do is take off the throttle plate. So I'm going to, partially for my own reference, I'm going to take a close-up of how the linkage works in here. I think I'm pretty much know how it all works, but just that I can put it all back together. So it looks like there's just the one main arm, and then there's it looks like this is kind of going to be a pain to deal with, because this right here is attached to the main body, and that's going to have to get separated from all the rest of the linkage. So it looks like there's an E-clip right here, and a cotter pin right there, and a cotter pin back here. I might want to take that arm off And then it looks like the maybe I don't need, yeah, I will need to take this pin out, and then the rest of this looks like it might just slide off that way from right here where this pin sits in that little cam groove, because this will open up so far, and then this little lobe right back here rides in this groove and opens the secondaries at a fancy ramp, or I don't know, there's some science involved in that. So that looks like that side. This side looks like my fast idle is connected to the main body right there. There is my choke, vacuum choke. I'm going to remove this. That's going to be gone. I'm either going to try and make that electric choke work or just put a manual choke on it. I'm not going to try and deal with the vacuum choke. This one isn't even set up to work properly right now, so. But it looks like I might have to take out this screw. This stuff can all stay on here. The accelerator pump arm, that on both sides can stay. And I'll get a good look at this from the underside. This actually doesn't look like I need to unhook anything. This is attached to the primary throttle blades, and all the rest of it is attached to the main body. So this side is good. We can leave this side alone. And this side might give us some grief, but I might need to take off this. If I take off this E-clip so that this slides off of here, and take off this arm in the back so that it slides off back here, that should make it two separate things. And I don't know if this roller, if you see, if I can get this to open, if I can get a good shot of what's going on inside of here. It opens up the primary throttle blades that far before it starts opening up the secondaries. And there's like a little dowel in there. See how it rides on this little, it's almost like a cam lobe. And that, I don't think there's anything connecting that, so that should all just kind of fall apart. The only thing that's actually connecting one to the other is this cotter pin. That's going to hold the main body to the throttle plate. So I'm going to take out, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. Hopefully they're not in there too bad. And then hopefully that gasket in between there is not just completely stuck on. I don't care if I ruin it, I've got another one, but I just want to take it off so I can clean up some of these throttle blades on the inside, see if I can get some of that soot out of the venturis. So yeah, I'm going to get all them screws out and try and unhook this, and I'm probably going to need 2 hands to do that, so I will pick back up when I get everything unscrewed. Alright, so I got all these screws out, and Holley was a lot smarter than Carter or Quadrajet or whoever made the AFB style carburetors that they put on stock GMs, because all these screws are the same length, and you don't got to remember which one goes back where. On that Quadrajet one, like, I'm pretty sure every single one is a different length, and it was a huge pain in the butt. But anyways, this should come right off now, sorta. Man, I wish I had 2 hands sometimes. I mean, well, I do have 2 hands. I wish I had more than 2 hands. Something else is trying to keep this in here. The gasket. There we go. It was just a gasket. Alright. Yep, this gasket is bad. Alright, so there is throttle plate and the old Venturi, or the main body, I guess you would say. And yeah, everything looks to be in pretty good condition with this. I'm glad I took it off because there's some goop in there and maybe knock some of the rust off of here. I don't really think any of that's gonna fall in or anything, but you never know. I might even see what happens if I take these screws out here. I don't know. But, you know, I can shoot some carb cleaner up in all these holes, shoot it up in all the holes around here and on the other side, and shoot it through all the holes in here. I think these are all just vacuum ports for manifold vacuum on different things. That has a plug in it. Otherwise, I believe that's where I could get my brake booster on. So I'm probably going to take that out and try and get get my brake booster to go in there. Or maybe I'll leave that in and have my brake booster up here. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do instead. Even though it's in the front, I might have to get a longer hose for my brake booster, but we'll make it work. Alright, so as you can see, I did take off the throttle blade here. I hope there's not anything to doing that you're supposed to do. I guess I should probably put a disclaimer in right about now. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not some Holley professional anybody. I'm just taking out screws that look easy to take out. So I did. I don't know if they have to go back in any specific measuring way. I also kind of destroyed the screws taking them out. So I would recommend finding a screwdriver that fits very snugly into this slot and press down really hard on it so that it actually doesn't chew up the screw. But I just sprayed some brake cleaner on some steel wool, and as you can see, there's a pretty big difference between those two. So I am going to put it in the exact same way it came out, with the numbers facing up. This one says 228 on it. And then I'm going to do that to all four of these and try and put them back in and try not to wreck anything. Alright, so I let these soak for I think 2 or 3 days in a bucket of gas, and for the most part it cleaned them out pretty good. This one, the rear one, was a lot worse than the front one to begin with. So the front one, I'm making a mess. The front one looks pretty good as it is. It's upside down. So as you can see, that's pretty clean. There's a little bit of grime in the back there that I'll probably try and get out with a Q-tip. And then this front one, or the rear one, has all this white stuff in there. So I'm just taking some carb cleaner and spraying it in there. And then I stole some Q-tips from inside the house. And I'm just like kind of going a little bit rough with it and getting it in the cracks and trying to wipe all the crud out of there. And I've already been going at it for a while, so it should be pretty clean. There's not too much grime coming off in the Q-tips anymore, which is good. So I'm gonna clean this one up, wipe that one down a little bit, and then same with the metering blocks. This one especially has a lot of that white snot in here, so I'm gonna get a Q-tip in there and get some of that out with some more carb cleaner. And then we can start throwing together the fuel bowls, or well, I'll have to clean out I'm gonna take the carb cleaner and spray out this carburetor, the main body first. But after that's done, we can start throwing everything back together and put it back on the car. Alright guys, we are continuing along with the carburetor, and I got a little bit far ahead. Got a little ahead of myself. The base plate I put back onto the main body, and I already got it loosely bolted down to the intake manifold. I think these are finger tight yet, yeah. So I just kind of was throwing stuff together and got that done. I had to drill another hole for the throttle cable to go in here, because there are 3 holes and all of them were in the wrong spot, and the throttle blades weren't opening all the way. So now it's the gas pedal feels nice if I'm over on the sitting in the car. It's actually pretty slick because I can feel the that click right here when the secondaries start to open. So that's good. And then right now I'm in the process of reassembling the float bowls, and I'm robbing parts off of the Demon because, well, in my experience, float springs are deal breakers. And this one feels pretty weak. And this one, ooh, what happened to you, bud? This one feels just as weak. So I'm going to be taking the ones out of the Demon, and then I'm robbing, here's the main metering block on the Demon, and I'm going to keep everything the same. Take this power valve out, it's 7.5, you can see on the top there, and these jets I think are 64s, yeah. And then I already assembled the secondary metering block for the Holley, and these are 70s and a 6.5 power valve. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to want to lean that up a little bit, and potentially lean that up a little bit too, but we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I got this secondary float bowl pretty much fully assembled. I took, like I said, I took the spring out of the secondary side of the Demon, and I think I took it out of the, yeah, this is the primary one. I'll be taking that spring out momentarily. So, got the secondary spring out. Oh my gosh, mosquitoes are so bad. There's one right there. I missed. So anyways, I just, like when I disassembled it, you just pop this clip back, or well, you gotta shove the needle up in there first. I did not replace the seats. There's no seal in the seat, it's just a piece of metal, so as long as it's clean and not chewed up, which there's basically no reason why it should be chewed up, because it only touches a rubber needle, so it's not a metal on metal contact point, so the seat should be fine. And then you just gotta finesse this in. The needle has a little arm on it. I don't know if you can see that right there. It's this thing right here, and that kind of almost helps it pull the needle back down when it comes down. So you got to make sure that's pointing up, slide it on, shove the spring and get it in. And I can't really record that and do it at the same time. I don't have enough hands, and Peter's not here to record me doing it. But you can probably find a better video online somewhere on how to do that. And then the last part that I'm doing is putting the accelerator pump on. And we'll see if I can do this with the amount of hands that I have. And then I'm just gonna put these on. I mean, they don't gotta be on real tight, just enough to make a seal. So essentially I'm gonna do the same thing with that float bowl right there. I'll take the spring out of that one, put it in that one, reassemble everything. I got another, what I'm gonna be doing for this one is, I got another accelerator pump. This is just a 30cc accelerator pump. And then I've got, oh, that's right, I'm taking the 7.5 out of this here. Yeah. So I'm going to take this 7.5 power valve out, put it in the Demon, or take it out of the Demon, put it in the Holley, take these 64 jets out, put those in the Holley, and then this one here is the secondary one. It's already assembled, so my secondary side is done, basically. Where'd that float bolt go? Yeah, so this is basically done. This will sit on, like that. And that's basically ready to screw on. I just got to get the gaskets on there and everything, so that should be good to go, hopefully. And then, yeah, basically just going to do the exact same thing on the primary side, just with different power valve, different jets, and a different accelerator pump. I'll explain to you why I put it on the car already. Because the 4165s are made to fit onto a Carter AFB style intake manifold. So it's not the traditional square bore or spread bore. It says that they're spread bore. Online I ran the little code number that's on the choke tower right there. I don't even know if you can see that. There should be a number somewhere in there. And that says it's a spread bore. It's not. It's a Carter bolt pattern, which is nice because it fits right onto my intake without that weird adapter plate. I did put that little 1/4 inch or whatever that is spacer on there just to give me some more bolt clearance, because the metering blocks and the float bolts get really, really close to these bolts. And I think I'm going to be fine in the back. I should probably actually check the clearance in the front, because that looks scary. Hopefully it's fine. Yeah, it is. But you can see how that would be a huge pain in the butt to try and get that nut on there with this already on. So I decided to bolt it down like it is first, and then I'll put everything on later, which I think that's the easiest route. So I'm gonna get to doing that. I'll be back probably when I start putting that back together on there. Alright everybody, it has come to be the time to put together float bowls and put them on the carburetor. So I already went ahead and I cleaned up all of the float bowl screws right here. So I just took the wire brush right here and lightly put them in the vise and brushed them up. Same with these little accelerator pump transfer tubes. Just held them with the pliers and brushed them up with the wire brush. And now I'm going to be putting these little O-rings on here. So I took off the old O-rings, they're right there. And I'm going to be putting on the new ones. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take a little bit of oil and just get a little, that's too much, but just a little bit just to get it, I don't know, softer, just so that you don't put the seal in dry. It also helps it go on, it helps it seal better. And then I'm just gonna peel it over the edge kind of and try not to rip it. Goes on, oh boy. Lubing it up makes it also harder to hold on to. There, just like that. So now I'll get the other one. They all came in the rebuild kit with a bunch of other gaskets. I'm gonna get a little bit of oil on there. That's better drop. Same thing, just gonna try and peel it over, just like that. So this one's done, and it just goes in, wrong side, goes in this hole right here, just like that, and then that gets pushed into the body of the carburetor, in the main body, and I'll show that later. Alright guys, unfortunately I skipped a few steps with the whole putting this back on the car stage. So I've already had it for a few test drives. I've got it tuned to idle decently. I actually wound up having to take the entire carburetor off the car, tore the whole thing apart, and put it back together. What I noticed, it wouldn't want to idle low at all. And when it was idling low, it sounded horrible. It sounded like it was just struggling and misfiring, and it was just bad. So I wound up taking it apart. I flipped the primary throttle blades around because I noticed that they weren't seated right. They weren't closing all the way. I had the idle screw backed all the way out, and it was still idling at like 2,000 RPM. And then the secondary throttle blades were way too far open, so I closed them all the way. I read a few things that said to have the transfer slot visible. It's not for me. I closed it all the way. I don't know if that's bad or if that's good, but that's how it is right now, idling. I also put a big heckin' beefy spring on the secondary throttle blades. We had to do the same thing with the carburetor that's on Peter's car. They just don't want to stay closed for whatever reason. Hopefully I can get a little bit of a smaller spring, because that one is really, really big. I can definitely for sure tell when my foot goes into the secondaries, because it's definitely difficult to push in to get the secondaries open. What I'm doing right now is I just changed out the primary jets. They were 64s. It was running rich. Like, I'd blip the gas just like sitting here. I could rev it with my hand, and I could see like grayish black smoke puffing out the exhaust. When I'd go out on the road and floor it, I'd leave a cloud of smoke behind me. So yeah, that's all pretty good indicators that it's running rich. The secondaries are definitely rich. I'm just changing the primaries right now just to isolate stuff. Because when I do step into the secondaries, it doesn't really change anything. It'll be really sluggish, I guess, and it'll just, I don't know. It's almost like right now it's better if I don't get into the secondaries. It'll actually like lose acceleration, which doesn't make any sense, but I'm guessing that's just because I get into the secondaries and it just goes way too rich. So I'm going to try leaning it up as much as I can and see where that takes us. Alright guys, another thing that I'm doing right now is I'm checking the timing. At idle on a small block, it's supposed to be between like 14 and 18-ish, maximum of 18. And right now it's at, I don't know if you can see that, it's at 17 right now, 2 past 15. I don't know how well the camera's gonna, oh yeah, the camera doesn't like this at all. Anyways, that's right where it's at 15. This is a lot easier to do with that mechanical fan gone. I didn't record any of that, but I did put in an electric fan. Mechanical fan is chilling up there now. And it keeps it very cool at idle. Normally at idle, it would be at 180 or higher, and now it actually cools down while idling, which is awesome. So the timing is good, it's at 17. It could go a degree higher, but I'm just gonna leave it and take it for a test drive and see how smaller. I went down 4 jet sizes. It was at 64. I don't have anything. The next lowest thing I had was 60. So I'm just, or it's 60, I don't know. It says 602, which is like a 60 and a half jet. But like 60, 61-ish. So I went down like 3 to 4 jet sizes. and I'll see how that goes. Alright guys, just got back from a little test run, and that actually made it worse. So, what that tells me is that it's definitely too lean now. Even just cruising, it would, I guess it's always seemed pretty vague to me. I read on a lot of forums that said, yeah, lean it out until it starts lean surging. I don't know what that was. It was definitely doing that. I guess if you're wondering, you'll know it. Like, you step on the gas and under acceleration, it just doesn't want to accelerate until you get a little bit higher in the RPM. I don't know. It feels like it doesn't have any go in it. Even I floored it to the secondaries. I had the secondaries wide open, nothing in the primaries. I had the primaries wide open and nothing in the secondaries. And yeah, it would max out at like 4,000 RPM in first gear. It just quit. That was it. When I floored it all the way, opened the secondaries all the way up, then it seemed happy. So anyways, what my plan is, right now I've got 60s in the primaries and 70s in the secondaries. I think I'm going to go to 65, 69. So from what it was before, that's a little richer on the primaries and a little leaner on the secondaries. Altogether, at wide open, that'll be a difference of 2. Primaries, I'm definitely going to put 65s in the primaries. Maybe I'll start there and then see how everything else is happy. I don't know. From the factory, the jets this had in it was 60s and 83s, I think. These are 83s. Yeah, that's what it had in it. So that seems way too much to me. Maybe the whole thing is just running lean. I don't know. Maybe I'll go up a little bit. Maybe I'll do 65, 72 and see what that does. I guess I'll probably let you know what I do after I've already tested on it. I'll switch to jets, test on it, and then let you know what I did and how it went. So I'll see you guys then. Alright everybody, this is going to be the end of that how to rebuild a Holley carburetor video. We got it all put back together and dialed in. I know I didn't do really hardly any recording of dialing it in. I believe the last place I left off, I remember saying that it was way too lean. I leaned it out way too much and it was kind of spitting and popping while I was driving it. So we went in way richer on the secondary jets. I'm pretty sure I left the primaries the way they were the entire time. I put the same primary jets from the Demon up there in the primaries on this, and the primary circuit seems to be great. I just had to fine tune on the secondary circuit a little bit, and I don't remember what size I actually have in the secondaries. I guess I'll look and see what size is missing in here. It would appear to be 75s right there. And I think I got 66s in the primaries. And I think the 68s are what's in the primary side on Peters. So, yeah, we're running 66-75 on this one, which is a little bit of a big spread, I think. I think the general rule of thumb is 5, but these are the weird series carburetors. They have the primary Venturis are bigger than the primary Venturis are smaller than the secondary Venturis. So anyways, we're gonna go and take this for a little drive here real quick, mainly because I need to put it up on ramps for what I'm doing right now today. But we'll go take it for a little spin real quick here before the sun goes down. So I will see you guys in the car. carburetor is it does have a little bit of a tendency to high idle every once in a while. And I just kind of got to whap the throttle real quick to get it to settle down. Go right here and we'll hit it a little. Start the first gear. Might get the tires to break loose. This carburetor's got a tendency to do that now. That's going to do it for today's video, rebuilding the old Holley carburetor, as you can see right there. Make sure to subscribe and follow our channel. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. The next couple of videos are going to be videos at the track. I'm not just saying that. We already went there and did it. Still, the videos have been filmed. I just got to edit the stuff together. They're not the best videos in the world because we were mainly concerned with going to the track and just figuring out how to race, but we will have track day videos coming out, so be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any of that stuff. So anyways, I hope this video is helpful. I'm by no means an expert when it comes to Holley carburetors. I've just rebuilt a couple of them and managed to get the car running afterwards. I don't even know if it's running good or not, but if you do have any questions, feel free to post it in the comments below, and I will do my best to answer them, or somebody else might know more than me and can answer them, and then we'll all learn something. So with that being said, y'all guys have a nice day.